Good morning, traders. It is the 23rd of January. I'm Joe Neighbour from Signal Centre. Hope everybody's doing well and had a great weekend. I certainly did. Another win beating Manchester United 3-2. Fantastic atmosphere in the stadium. So, yeah, getting this week off to a very good start as a result. So let's get into the latest headlines that have been moving markets over the past 24 hours or 48 hours. And check that out to set us up for the week ahead. So we had some hawkish ECB rhetoric over the weekend. The ECB council member Holzman stated that he favours multiple rate hikes of 50 basis points, at least in the first half of 2023, and that it could take 2 to 3 years or even longer to bring inflation down to target. Council member Knott stated that there should be further 50 basis point hikes in February and March, with further hikes likely in May and June. In terms of what's going on with the Fed, we can see that the Fed Governor Wallace stated that some progress had been made on inflation, but there is a considerable way to go towards the 2% target. He added that he favoured a 25 basis point rate hike at the February meeting, followed by additional tightening. He added that he sees encouraging signs of wage moderation, but more evidence of slowing is needed. So the Fed moves into a silent period now. Fed officials will now be silent ahead of next week's policy decision. Markets will, however, be on alert for any unfolding briefings through the Wall Street Journal. Equities have continued to strengthen. We saw a decent move higher on Friday, which was as a result of the hawkish comments that we saw. Wallace's comment said there'll be a shift in stance if inflation declined more than expected, and that helped underpin risk sentiment. The dollar continues to lose ground as a result. We saw, again, as a result of Wallace's comments, we saw the equity markets push higher and dollar move to the downside. That the euro also gained support from the ECB rhetoric, with euro US dollar posting 9-month highs above the 1090 level. Over the weekend, we've seen a decline in yen shorts. The CFTC data recorded a decline in short non-commercial yen contracts to 23,000 in the latest week from over 35,000 previously, and the smallest short position since March 2021, limiting scope for further short covering. The SNB, the Swiss National Bank's Jordan, has backed further tightening. He stated it's an absolute priority that we should bring inflation down, and that the second round effects of inflation should not be underestimated. And today, the Chinese markets are closed, as they will be all week for the Lunar New Year holidays. Okay, so let's get into some charts, shall we? Let's start off with cryptocurrency. Let's just see if there's any comments coming up today. Any requests for markets, feel free to post them up and I'll do my best to cover them. Okay, so let's take a look at Bitcoin to start with. So decent move higher, as you would expect, with a push higher in risk appetite over on Friday and over the weekend. This has continued. So this was Friday's price action. Nice big push through this resistance level at 21,555. Indicating that maybe we've formed some sort of short-term bottom here on Bitcoin. So that will be music to the ears of the crypto enthusiasts to see that we've broken through that level. We do have some resistance above at 25,338. That obviously we need to contend with, and we may see some sort of move up to there before maybe a pullback. And then maybe what we'll be doing is posting a really nice large bottom pattern, which will give us a lot of confidence about where this could be headed over the more medium term. So that's really encouraging indeed. So short term, looking for really a pullback into 2155 to see if that provides any support on the reverse side, having broken through that last week. So pullbacks into this region could provide opportunities to buy. Let's take a look at the precious metals. Let's take a look at gold. So that continues to trade, obviously, in a very nice upward trend in the short term. We've got resistance above at 1972. So be looking to see if we get any kind of reaction at that. Last Thursday, we saw a decent push to the upside, bit of a pullback over the last couple of sessions. We've got some support around here at 1896, so support into this kind of level, which is the reverse side of a 61.8% fib, and also the short-term uptrend line may provide opportunities to buy in the short term, targeting a move up to this 1972 level. Obviously, if we do get a break of this trend, then that could trigger a bit of a corrective move to the downside on gold. But for now, there are no worries about that. Let's take a look at silver. Prices continue to flatten off, as we mentioned last week, trading in a bit of a range between 23.11 to 24.30. We have seen a break of the short-term uptrend on this, but prices moving sideways for now. So bit of a difficult call on that for now, I think. If we get a break to the downside below 23.11, then that may trigger some losses and some corrective price action. On the upside, if we get a break through this trend, then we do encounter some pretty stiff resistance above at 24.93, which is a 78.6% fib level of this entire move. So not too sure really about the outlook for silver. I think we need to see more confirmation or more price action to maybe form a view on that. Let's take a look at the oil markets. So they have been trading within a bearish channel. We can see here that Brent broke through resistance at 86.05 and has hit against resistance again at 87.95, which is the swing high that we posted last Wednesday. We've also encountering this downtrend resistance. So if we can get a break above this, and close above it on a daily basis, then that may trigger further gains towards 97.96. But we need to see more evidence on that to consider really getting long. The other alternative, of course, is if we maybe see a push through the bearish channel at some point today. But again, I think that close is all important, because if we don't get that, then maybe what we're going to form is some sort of false breakout to the upside, and we could see prices continue to move lower within the bearish channel. It'll be a similar situation with crude, no doubt. We can argue maybe that there was a close above that downtrend last week. Price is a bit unsure today, down by 0.2%. I think the construction of the sort of bottom here is a little bit more interesting than it is on Brent at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on that. Potential maybe for higher prices. We do have resistance above 83.66. If we can close above that, then I think we put this downtrend channel to bed and we can start looking for higher prices on crude. Any other metals? Let's take a look at natural gas. A bit of a bounce on that today, up by 3.55% as things stand. As we know, we've got this long-term head and shoulders top which form. We saw the breakdown through resistance, and prices have continued to slide lower. On Friday, we saw a very negative close, the lowest price it's been for some time. The measured move of the head and shoulders top suggests the price could go to 285, but we've seen a gap higher today. So that's quite encouraging. Need to obviously see more evidence of bullish price action before we can get too excited. There is still an unfilled gap up here at 4398. So at some point we may target a move higher towards that level, at which point it could be another opportunity for the bears to jump on board and sell. But yeah, a gap higher today. To fill that gap, we need to tag the closing price that we posted on Friday, which is around 305. So it'll be interesting to see how prices go throughout the rest of today. Okay, let's take a look at FX then. Let's move on to the dollar index and have a look at how that's shaping up. So continuing to grind lower. We are lower today by 0.3%. If we see Friday's price action, we can see that was the lowest close that we've seen for a considerable period of time, going back to this region here, which is June 2022. We're well below this 50% fib level now. We do have some support from this previous low back in May at 101.29, which may provide some support. If it doesn't, then we're starting to look for a move back down to 100, that big round psychological level. And then below that, we have a 61.8% fib level at 99.17. So still under pressure here with the dollar index. No real bottoming signs going on at the minute. So expecting to see lower prices there. And as a result of that, we'd expect to see higher prices on euro US dollar. We saw a gap higher on Sunday night to the Monday open, and prices are pushing through the previous highs that we posted at 10887. We are fast approaching a 50% fib level. That's at 109.42. So it'll be interesting to see if we get any kind of reaction at that level. Prices are high today by over 0.5%. But we do have an unfilled gap that we may see a pullback to fill at some point. Obviously, it's been a very sharp move to the upside on euro US dollar over recent weeks, so it could be liable to a pullback at some point, but technically it's looking pretty strong for now. So, and obviously we're seeing weakness with the dollar index as well, so we're getting support from that. Let's take a look at cable. So that's rallied into previous highs from December. And if we look at the price action this morning, we can see we did make a marginal new high, but we're trading below that at the moment, still up by 0.16% on the day. But this is pretty stiff resistance here. So we do need to see a closing break above that, I think, before we can get excited about further gains. If we look at price action going a bit further back, we can see following that disastrous budget move from the UK, prices moved higher. Then we saw this kind of correction or pennant or flag type pattern, and then we saw a break higher to indicate continuation. But we're into big resistance here, so it'd be interesting to see if we have enough today to try and break through that. Let's take a look at dollar yen. So that continues to trade within this bearish channel. And obviously, if this is moving higher, it suggests that the dollar index is getting a bit more bullish, but also that the yen is weakening a little bit. And we did see obviously a period here within this trend where yen was strengthening and the dollar was weakening, but we're into the upper end of the boundary of the channel now. So it'd be quite interesting to see if we've got enough to get through that. We do have some fairly stiff resistance here at 130.39 as well. This red line that we've highlighted, these previous lows from back in August, which are also preventing prices from moving higher. So if you are looking for short opportunities today, maybe that could be one that you want to consider if you believe that the price action is going to remain within this bearish trend. Should we take a look at any other currencies, any other requests? I can't see any. If there's any other currencies that you guys are looking at and want me to check out, please feel free to send them over. So we saw a pretty strong reversal in some of the yen currencies. So Aussie was moving lower, yen was moving higher. So this was meaning this was moving lower overall. But we saw a very strong reversal on Friday, and that is being supported again by further gains today. So we are seeing yen weakness across the board, and we can see that on the watch list here. We can see CAD yen, Swiss yen all up pretty dramatically. Euro yen too, 0.85%. So looking pretty strong there. They're the biggest movers on the currency space today. Okay, let's take a look at some indices then. Let's start off with the Euro Stoxx 50. So we've got a nice bottom in place here, having broken through this resistance at 4,020. Looking for a pullback towards that at some point, ideally to maybe reset some long trades, but a little bit mixed over the last few sessions. But all in all, the price action looks pretty constructive. Let's take a look at DAX. That continues to move higher. A little bit of a pullback last week on Thursday, but then we pushed higher on Friday and appear to be attempting to move higher again today. We do have a 78.6% fib level at 15,328, which is above to consider. So that may provide some short-term resistance. Take a look at the FTSE. That's underperforming today, down by 0.07%. We did see a very nice breakout through 76.78 over the last couple of weeks, and prices just come up shy of this previous all-time high at 79.03. So in a bit of a corrective mode at the moment, still looking for a pullback into these newly formed supports. And I think if we can get a pullback into those levels and see some constructive price action, then we could be looking to set some new longs on that, and for expectations of higher prices, certainly as a bare minimum to get through that 7903, and then maybe we can start pushing on to that big round 8,000 number. Let's take a look at the US markets. Bit more promise on the S&P on Friday, a really strong reversal there, big green candle as we can see, but it's only come up as far as the 3981 resistance level. Above that, we've got another resistance at 4016, and let's not forget we've got this big downtrend in play here, which is highlighted by the blue line, and unless we can get through that, then the trend remains bearish for now on the S&P 500. So any rallies are potentially providing opportunities to sell. So still not out the woods yet with this. Still need to see some more from the US markets before we can get too excited about a recovery in equities in the US. Obviously, Fed in the silent period now, waiting for their meeting next week with regards to how they approach monetary policy. Maybe we'll get equities holding some sort of holding pattern until that point. And yeah, it may be a case of more sideways choppy price action until then. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. So that's still got a way to go before it catches up to this downtrend line like the S&P has. But, you know, we can't ignore the fact that Friday was a pretty strong day, engulfing all of the previous 2 days losses, in fact, and pushing higher. Slightly higher on the futures at the moment, up by 0.2%. So looking for a rally into this kind of level in the short term, and how we react to that level will be all important. I've got these blue arrows drawn on here, which may indicate some sort of early stages of a triple bottom. We would need to break through 12,092 to confirm that. So by no means is that a certainty. So it looks pretty constructive as though prices are moving sideways, but we do need to get through the downtrend and through that 12,090 level before we can start thinking about higher prices in the US markets. Okay, I think I'll leave it there. I don't think there's any other requests on the stream, but obviously welcome them if there are. Okay, let's move on to the gun to the head trade. So this is where, when Steve's here as well, we'll be back next week. But Steve and I pick trade ideas live on the video in the hope that we can turn a profit between now and 9 p.m. UK time. Each of the ideas that we come up with must have stops and targets, and we come up with them as if we had a gun to our head. What would we trade right now? The trade ideas will expire at 9 p.m. or when the stops or the targets are hit, as I mentioned. We're actually trading these directly through TradingView at the moment via an account with Owanda. And we've got an expert advisor on place on the account, which basically closes these trades out for us at 9 p.m. So we don't have to sit there hovering over the button and worry about any emotional stress of trading. That all gets taken care of for us. So let's take a quick look at how things went on Friday. So I was actually trading New Zealand dollar versus the US dollar on Friday. Looked as though we were getting maybe a bit of a reversal on the New Zealand dollar versus US dollar, but I got stopped out of this quite convincingly. There's a big move higher around 3 o'clock, which stopped out that trade, and it's continued to push higher, only as far as the 78.6% fib level. I mean, ideally, I'd have had an entry around that level anyway, but it wasn't to be on that occasion, so we were stopped out. So I've got to find a new trade today. So dollar yen was quite attractive. If we go back to the daily chart, we can see that it was right up against the upper boundary of the downtrend resistance, the downtrend channel that we've got in place, but also this 130.39 level, which seems to be providing a bit of resistance as well. So is there an opportunity there on the intraday? But I quite like it on the daily, so it's giving me good vibes on that front. Obviously, if it does break through, then it indicates maybe the dollar is going to start pushing higher. So I didn't have my chart on here. Let's go back to that daily again, and we can see here, big downtrend channel. Price is rallying into the upper end of that. Also, we've got these previous lows from back here in August. So is there an opportunity there? I think maybe there is. So I'm going to go with that today, and I'm going to sell dollar yen. Let's just map this out of how it will look. Obviously, I'd probably like to have a stop above that level, but it's going to make my stop really wide. So I'm just going to go above these highs here that we saw on Friday around 1 o'clock. And I'm going to target a move down to these lows, somewhere in this kind of region around here. Not exact. I don't want to target the exact low because that can be where the buyers step in. We've also got a swing low here that we posted as well. So I want to go around that kind of level. That's at 127.51. So just a tad under 3R is the target. It's going to switch my symbol now. Okay, let's get this short on, shall we? That's what we're going with. That's going to be the target. And let's get a sell on, shall we? So take profit level is going to be at 127.51. My stop loss is going to be at 130.70. So is that correct? I'm going to be risking 1% of capital. So I've got a risk reward ratio on that of just over 3. That's perfect. So let's get that on. Selling dollar yen today is my trade idea based on it rallying into the downtrend and the upper band of the bearish channel. So there we go, we're done. Okay, what have we got today data wise? Let's take a quick look at that. As I mentioned, it's a Chinese holiday today, but later on this afternoon at 5:45 UK time, we've got the ECB President Christine Lagarde speaking. So that could be interesting. Obviously, we've seen some hawkish rhetoric from the ECB of late. Let's see if she goes along the same lines of that, suggesting that there'll be multiple rate hikes of 50 basis points over the next couple of months, and saying that inflation could take 2 to 3 years to bring back under control and get it back to target. So let's see if she's on the same sheet. Later on this week or tomorrow, we've got the global PMI data. So there'll be a number of countries coming out tomorrow with PMI information. And then we've got an interest rate decision from the Bank of Canada on Wednesday. So that could be quite interesting as well, seeing how they're shaping up for monetary policy. So, okay, that's it from me today. Nice and short and sweet, actually. Nobody on the stream requesting any markets, so made it a bit quicker today. But guys, get your request in tomorrow, and let's see if we can help you out with your setups for the rest of the week. Okay, thank you very much for watching, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow, and until then, have a great day. Goodbye.